And welcome back. As we continue our cosmic journey, we of course have now traversed through our inner planets quite well. But let's take a moment to look at this through the lens of divergent planetary evolution. So we have a triad of worlds that we have really kind of looked at that really exists in the hospitable zone for the possibility of life. Venus, Mars, and our own planet Earth form a remarkably diverse triad of worlds. And although all three orbit in roughly the same inner zone around the Sun, the so-called Goldilocks zone, and all apparently start with about the same chemical mix of silicates and metals, their evolutionary paths, as we have seen, have diverged out into different end results. And in the end result, Venus, as we've seen, has become hot and dry, suffocating sulfur and planets with its CO2 trapping in all that greenhouse gas. Mars, exact opposite, became cold and dry. Its thin CO2 atmosphere not retaining enough to really keep any kind of heat. And only Earth really ended up with what we consider to be a hospitable climate suitable for life. So when we start talking about the evolutionary path, we've discussed, of course, the runaway greenhouse effect on Venus and the runaway refrigerator effect on Mars. But we do not understand exactly what started these two planets down separate evolutionary paths. What was the triggering effect that caused Venus to become a runaway greenhouse effect? What was the thing that caused Mars to lose so much of its atmosphere besides the planet just simply being smaller? And so this allows us to pose a very simple question. Is Earth in danger of a similar fate? We of course still have greenhouse gas effects here, for example, and what would happen if you would all of a sudden tilt the planet into such a way that we would have a runaway greenhouse gas effect where all the water would start evaporating out and we would start losing our ability to have a atmosphere that would not get too hot, for example. Or if this is a thing that we are worried about, might it still be diverted onto one of these paths, perhaps due to stress on the atmosphere generated by human pollutants? Carbon dioxide is a very real greenhouse gas. We also, of course, have things like methane that get generated from human activity and animal activity. And, of course, all these things are greenhouse gases that trap in heat. So this is a very interesting thing for us to think about, and it's one of our primary reasons for studying planets like Venus and Mars, because it helps give us some insight into these questions and ask, is this our future? So having Earth-like worlds is interesting because some people suggest that even if we understood the evolution of Mars and Venus better, we could possibly use that information then to reverse their evolution and restore them to more Earth-like environments. And while it seems unlikely that humans could ever make either Mars or Venus into an exact replica of Earth, considering such possibilities is a useful part of our more general quest to understand the delicate environmental balance that distinguishes our planet from its two neighbors. And maybe one day we can use this knowledge to even do things like look at Venus and Mars, make them and transform them into hospitable worlds, or even look at possibly worlds that are far in the future.